If you're selling what people want, people will buy. They'll buy sportiness. They'll buy good design. They'll buy color. They'll buy new ideas. They'll buy the look of beauty. And because people buy these things, they'll buy your new 1955 cars. It's easy to sell what people want, especially when your product has what they want. This is the man who helped design your new cars under the direction of Chrysler Corporation's chief designer, Virgil Exner. He gave your cars the line, the trim, the interiors, the colors that people want. So you'll be able to sell your cars with confidence, knowing that they're right. Take the line. Your cars have a forward look, the look of moving forward, even when they're standing still. Virgil Exner has given your cars the look of motion. Motion is exciting. You know the feeling of moving forward fast. Forward motion has shape, a long flowing line. Going nowhere has shape too. The lines of some of our competitors' cars are so boxy that they look as though they're going nowhere. Forward motion has a different line entirely. This exciting forward line that people want is the line that Virgil Exner has built into your new 1955 car. You'll sell your customers more easily if you point out that the cars have a longer line. And if you point out how much sleeker they are, and how much closer to the road, and that the new Horizon windshield has a swept-back look, the only windshield of its type in the industry that wraps around top and bottom for more visibility and safety, and that the top of the car slants inward. This gives the top a sportier look without cutting down on headroom. You can show your customers these same features on your new cars. Show them how the top slants in. Show them how the windshield wraps around top and bottom and how the windshield post sweeps back. Show your customers how the lines of the body give the car an exciting look, a forward look. These are the lines that give your car the feeling of motion that people want. Point them out and you'll sell, and sell plenty. And in your new 1955 cars, you have even more that you can sell with confidence. You know they'll like the line. Now, take the trim. People like bright and shining things. Best when it is put in the right places. And Virgil Exner has put the chrome trim in the right places on your new cars. You can tell your customers that the chrome isn't just slapped on willy-nilly. It's put where it belongs. Let's see how Virgil Exner has used the chromium. The massive front grille gives a more expensive look. bumper is bigger and set lower to the ground. The forward thrust of the headlight hood emphasizes the forward look. The chromium outlines the wraparound windshield and highlights the swept-back windshield post. The wheel discs are designed to reflect light and give a look of speed. The side trim emphasizes the long line. Even the taillights sweep back in line with a longer look. The rear bumper doesn't look tacked on. It's a part of the car. The well-designed door handle blends in with the body lines. And like all the other chrome trim, accents the forward look. Not only do you have the line and the trim, you have the interiors to talk about. Inside your new cars are some of your best-selling features. Because the new interiors have the same decorator look that people are buying for their homes. Women like fabrics that have color and life. That are rugged. Everybody likes a lively pattern. Put them all together and they add up to the kind of fabrics people want. The rich and exciting fabrics used in the interiors of your new cars. This is one. And this. And many more. So get your customers to step inside your cars, because once they're inside, they'll imagine that they own all this. Let the women feel the luxury that surrounds them. Put the men behind the wheel where they can see the smart instrument panel with its power flight control, linked to that all-powerful engine. Point out the new light gray, twice as wide, twice as safe brake pedal. As they look around, they'll see the sweep of the inside trim. Now, tell them that there's still another story. Color. Tell them that the colors inside are designed to go with the bright, clear colors outside. Your cars have young colors. Tell the wives they're fashion colors. This year, your customers have more colors to choose from than ever before. Say that they're put on with special paints that reflect more light. Everybody loves color. The color that America is buying would fill 1,000 carnivals. Are the colors of your cars and the line they want. The forward look, it's there. Show your customers the long forward line of the cars. Talk about it and you'll sell them. Gleaming beauty. Your cars have it. So show your customers that the chrome trim is used right, that you're selling the beauty they want. Interior luxury. Invite your customers to sit inside your cars. You're selling interiors as beautifully decorated as their homes. And color. Remember, these days, almost everything your customers are buying has color. and you have more color to sell than ever before. Sell your cars with confidence because they're right. They have the things people are buying. That's why you'll be selling more cars in '55 than you ever did before.
I walk 15 miles a day. I do walk 15 miles a day. See, I'm in charge of courtesy here. Courtesy. Now, isn't that a dainty word for a place like this? But the meaning's all right. You see, I'm the person who introduces our company to all our visitors. These visitors come from all walks of life. VIPs, Boy Scouts, businessmen, mechanics, all sorts of people. And our main job here, our only job, is building people's individual wishes on wheels. It's always kind of fun to guess from the name and the place just whose wishes you're looking at. Says Indianapolis. Maybe a family car. And Mother probably said...
When it comes to color... Bright red! Blue, I think. With the ivory top.
Blue. With the ivory top.
But it's gotta have power steering.
With power steering.
And the big radio and heater.
And white sidewall tires. And the V8 engine.
Yes, and the V8 engine. If you let your imagination run a little, you will really have lots of fun with these wishes. Here's one for the wide open spaces.
I don't care how long it is, long as it's long.
However, color is the choice that's easiest to see.
Red. Is there some other color?
I want a little old green one.
Black.
Well, maybe it's not quite like that. But we don't just make a car for anybody. We make cars for somebody. From the time a car is only a frame, it has somebody's name on it. And it takes thousands of smart people and lots of big machinery to make it grow up to be just exactly the way somebody wishes it and ordered it. Let me show you where it starts. It's a busy spot right in the center of the factory called production control. All the details of every order go out in code from this master telautograph to 38 other telautograpphs on the floor of the plant. We'll pick out one order, say number 642 for today. Now let's go find the car. Over in another plant, we're already building the body for 642, but we start at the head of the assembly line. Notice the telautograph? Yes, same order.
And that's her frame. Yes, sir, 8 million pounds of stuff. You know, materials, parts, 8 million pounds come pouring in here every day. And they go out ready to drive. Between here and the end of the line, better than 13,000 separate things get assembled to make a car. You know, it takes 27 miles of conveyors to feed the stuff to this assembly line just right. Yes, sir, I'm loaded with statistics.
So many parts, lines, people, machinery. An automobile factory is mighty confusing to a stranger. I'll try to make it easy to understand. also come along. You know, the assembly line is like a big river. What keeps it flowing are all the smaller streams that feed into it along the way.
Some parts we buy. Some of them we make ourselves. Isn't that pretty? It's a coil spring. We build them right from the raw stock. It's a big job all by itself. They start off like rods, real long and straight. Those things are going to be springs. Now, you watch. First, we grind the tips to make them square. Then we heat the tips so we can flatten them out. When the spring's all finished, take a good look at it, and you'll see why the end's got to be flattened. Next, we put them in a bar furnace, full length. Remember, this stuff is some of the best steel money can buy, and we've got to give it a permanent wave. Boy, listen. All right, now it's red hot and ready for the big twist. Now, watch this. Just like that. Of course, there's more to it. For example, you think they're hot enough now? Okay, we heat treat them. That's the equalizing furnace. Just so long at just the right temperature. That's important, gives them strength. Now we quench them in oil. That's so they'll hold their shape and temper. After all this, a coil spring should be exactly right. But we squeeze every one of them and measure its strength right to a whisker before we okay it and start it off for the assembly line. Now you see we're back where the springs join up with the main stream. And by the way, we don't stick just any spring on any car. There are a lot of different types of bodies. Some weigh more than others. We make different springs for each one.
The leaf springs come in on another feeder. And it's the very same thing here. That white ticket's the order. There are different kinds of leaf springs for different bodies. These springs match up with order 642. Now here's an important part. It's the rear axle. And it's not just a part. It's a lot of parts. It's a complicated sub-assembly, and it's one of the things that delivers engine power to the rear wheels. Skillful people and marvelous tools. And all tools don't have to be big to be marvelous. Take this. There's a nut on the brake fluid line that's hard to reach, and this young lady tightens it with a clever little rasp-like tool.
Tricky, huh?
One of these main assembly lines is a single line, it's true. But it has different names at different places, like having different addresses on a road that's a mile long. Until the wheels go on, it's called the frame line. Then it's the chassis line until the body of the car meets it. And after that, it's the final assembly line. Here's another one of those feeder streams coming in.
You got to go clear across the plan to the thing we call the merry-go-round to chase this one back. No brass rings on this merry-go-round, rubber rings. Used to be another rubber ring. Hasn't been so long ago these things had inner tubes. Now they're tubeless.
How about that?
Now here's another feeder stream coming in. Number 642 has a blue steering column.
The main thing is what's inside the steering column.
Manual steering or power steering, we call it coaxial steering.
It's in and adjusted, and the line keeps right on moving. Yes, she's on her own now, riding on her own four wheels. But there's the baby that gives her the life, the V8 engine. When you trace the engine line back to its start, you find some pretty rugged chunks of metal. This is the engine division, and here we start with rough castings, cylinder blocks. A lot is going to happen to those blocks before they get under the hoods of cars. A whole lot. To begin with, things like this. Milled off clean as a whistle, and with great precision too. That block is tough cast iron. Mind you, when it's finally an engine, the fuel mixture is going to explode inside it thousands of times every mile. It has to be tough. And to cut tough metal, you have to use something even tougher. Like this tunnel broach. It's 90 feet long. Those teeth are made to cut a lot of metal at once. They cut the block down close to its final dimensions. If you know something about machine shops, you won't find this operation boring. This is drilling. Drilling lots of holes at once with multiple spindle drills. The block needs lots of holes for water and oil and for setting studs. If the holes are for studs or bolts, they have to be threaded too. It's a pretty sight to watch. All the holes we drill must be made to ultra-close tolerance, particularly the biggest holes of all, the cylinder bores. We finish the cylinders on these giant honing machines. They give the last little bit of perfection to the dimensions and the surface of the cylinder walls. But the final honing is really just the beginning for these engine blocks. What you saw start out as a rough casting is going to wind up with the power of a herd of horses. Now watch it grow. There goes the clutch housing. That's one part. Depending on what you count as a part, there are about 700 more to go on before this becomes an engine. Watch almost anyone here and you'll find his job looks easy. But try it. There's skill up and down every line, and the skill is backed up with machine muscles. Now here's a boring job. And we can do it 6 at a time. It makes the pilot hole in the clutch housing accurate in size and alignment. Remember now, we're still on the engine line, the feeder line that delivers engines to the main assembly line. But even the feeders have tributaries of their own. One of them is the crankshaft line. It starts with a billet of white-hot steel, and you don't need words to describe what happens. There they are, crudely finished, but very, very rugged. In every important way, they're accurate, but there's still a lot to be done to them. A lot of machining, polishing, and delicate balancing. Because you see, a crankshaft has to be both tough and delicate. In its lifetime, billions of explosions inside the cylinders will pound against it, and it'll have to turn each explosion into a twist on the drive shaft. But at the same time, we have to balance it so delicately, it'll spin like a top at high speed. And now on the engine line again, we lock the finished crankshaft into the place where she'll do her spinning. Bearings front and back and 3 places in between. Here come the muscles. The pistons are the muscles that do the pushing. They're carefully calibrated and matched by numbers to the very cylinder bores where they'll be installed. And a specific set is sent off to meet a specific engine. and into the engine they go. Another housing, and then comes the oil pan. The tallest part of it is the deep reservoir where the oil intake floats. You see, we're still assembling her upside down. But that's all we have to do from the bottom. So over she goes. This mechanical alley-oop is a very handy thing. Makes an engine as light as a feather. From this point forward, the engine grows quickly because it's now an assembly job. The machining's done and finished parts are ready to be attached. These are head gaskets. They make the heat-proof, explosion-proof seals between the cylinder heads and the block. And this is one of the cylinder heads, where the overhead valves and spark plugs do their work. And here are the rocker arms. They make the valves go up and down. Every part in order and on time. This is the intake manifold. There's something exhilarating about the last bit of the assembly job on a car or an engine, after it gets to looking like what it's finally going to be. This is an automatic transmission. When she's done, this one's going to be able to shift for herself. That's it. One engine headed for its final examination. Here's where we find out how well we've made them. This is the dynamometer room. Engines lined up waiting for the big test. We give them a good run-in, and the dials of the dynamometer say yes or no. Don't look for these gadgets under the hood of an automobile. They're just temporary covers to protect the open parts while baby gets her beauty treatment. That familiar protective coat of aluminum paint. This is the end of the line. Engine meets chassis. That's the drive shaft. It goes on just before the engine lands. This lady right here is the pilot who eases the engine down. The speed of the engine line is matched to the speed of the chassis line, so they'll come together just right. And remember, certain engines are meeting certain chassis. You've got to feel the timing of this in your bones, and you've got to stay on the ball. If you do, it's easy.
Easy as pie when you know how and you got the tools. And there's a thing that takes plenty of know-how and some real big tools. Have you ever seen a body plant? I guess big tools is a big understatement. Why, they've got presses, 50-ton, even some 1,800-ton presses that slam out parts of the body, you know, tops, bottoms, sides, doors, in one whack. They can take two pieces of the floor pan and put them in this gang welder, and before you know it, they're put together with a metal seam. All happens at once. All this is the way a body gets started. The body line is the biggest and the longest of all the feeders that bring parts to final assembly line. And there's some marvelous tools here. You take the conveyors that bring the panels to the place where they're assembled, and the big welding fixture that you put the floor pan and the sides into. It holds them just exactly right so the welders can get inside and out and stitch them together. And after we've spot welded the sides to the floor, we put the top on. And notice the way we lift that top. And you got to realize that this isn't an any old side, any old top business. Every single thing is scheduled to arrive on time. Particular top for such and such a body according to the orders. That's your car number 642 getting welded up right there. piece of the body we install before we paint is the trunk lid. Around here, we call it the rear deck. We mount it and we set the hinges and the latch. And about the same time, we adjust the hanging of the doors. And you know something? Hanging doors is one of the trickiest jobs on this line. This is about the last you'll see of white metal because here comes paint. Order a car of blue, red, green, or yellow, or what have you, it's going to be this color underneath. The metal is bonderized, and that rust-proofs it. Then comes the prime coat. The underside gets it too. It's kind of pretty, but the color is still the same. Here they go off to the paint lines for the final color coats, the colors that have been ordered. On these two-tone jobs, we do the tops first. This is your number 642, and she's getting an ivory top. Next, she'll go to the oven, and we'll bake that ivory dry before we give her the blue below. And you know, the paint is scheduled all along the line, just like parts of the chassis or the engine. Certain body, certain paint. What the orders say, that's what we spray. Blue. They come out of the oven looking pretty as Easter eggs, and they get even prettier now, and in a hurry, too. Because from here on, we attach the things that make them look like cars. Wraparound windshields, chrome moldings, things like that. But believe you me, nothing in the whole factory is any prettier these days than the spot where paint and upholstery get together. And pretty soon they're all dressed up and ready to be trucked away to the second part of the body line, the one where the body goes off to meet the chassis.
Again, it's the tell autograph that starts the right body out for the right chassis.
We run two lines over here, you see. Odd numbers on one, even on two. The main thing is to keep them rolling. Right along.
Now, let's try to find the body for car number 642. It may be way up the line by now, on its way to the body drop. Oops. You'll notice all along that it's the tell autograph that gets everything together right, keeps the right numbers on the right cars. Body hardware makes the body grow up fast. Those are the brackets that'll hold the hood. And this man's installing the control for the handbrake. Here's the mount for the heater. It goes on the face of the firewall. And some of the chrome still goes on here too. Now here's something that looks simpler than it is. This is the instrument panel for 642. Color and equipment are just as they were ordered, and it arrives on the conveyor line at just the right time to meet the body and be installed. Just the way the body will soon meet the chassis down at the final assembly line.
To me, it's like the body is a date. Yes, sir. And the tell autograph machine makes sure the body gets dressed right for that date. And we make sure it gets there on time. Why, it'd be awful after all this if the chassis were stood up, and we never let that happen. You'd be surprised how many different things are still to be done when the body's this far along. Wiring and all sorts of things. And up there, they're ready. Ready to meet the chassis. Yes, sir, they've got a big date coming up.
Like a big date coming up, the little lady said. And it is. It's a big rendezvous toward which all the planning, working, and the timing have been designed. And whether you've witnessed this meeting 4 times or 4,000 times, it's always magic. It's magic by people who can work on the same car and make it exactly the way it was ordered, even though they do their work at different times and in different places. And this is the big moment, body meeting chassis. He controls the speed of the drop. And down they come. You've got to be ready, and you've got to be there. And you've got to keep cool. It won't be long now. Guide rods to line up the body in the frame. And she's down. I've seen it more times than I care to count. And each time there's something in it that's new. And that's almost all there is to it. The things that remain don't take long. Do you know something? The odds of two identical cars, identical in type, color, and trim, and every item of equipment, moving down one of these assembly lines together are about 1 in 6 million. The end of the assembly line. We give her her first gasoline and she's ready to take off on her own power. There's still a lot of testing to do, and there are a few things to check right here and now. As many as 190 cars may come off these lines in a single hour, and the drivers never miss their target at the roll test. Now let's see. Radio. Check. Horn. Check. Front seat. Check. Headlights. Check. Turn signal. Check. Engine, range selector, how about it? Well, that's the story.
Blue, I think, with the ivory top.
I don't care how long it is, as long as it's long.
I want a little old green one.
Red. Is there some other color?
Black. Courtesy. Wishes.
Presenting the only all-new car in the lowest price field, the all-new Plymouth. Aglow with beauty, alive with power. The car designed for the young in heart.
You're gonna go, go, go with your beautiful Plymouth. Start going places today. We're here to show, show, show the most wonderful Plymouth that's ever come your way. That's ever come your way. It's got new features by the score, got new power galore. Everything that you have ever wanted, and the more you're gonna love, love, love. That all new Plymouth, the best beauty by of them all. And now, we take great pleasure in presenting
That wonderful guy from Hollywood.
your master of ceremonies, Bill Goodwin.
Thank you. And welcome everybody to our all-new Plymouth show. Believe me, you're in for the biggest thrill of your life, because what you're going to see here today is like nothing you've ever seen before. Plymouth has always built great cars, but this is the greatest of them all. Everybody wants beauty, and we've got it. Everybody wants more power, and this all-new Plymouth has it. It's all new, it's different, it's wonderful. In fact, we have so much to tell you about this all-new Plymouth that it's hard to know where to begin. So let's start with what you can see. And that is the freshest, the newest, the most beautiful styling you've ever seen. And that new styling began with a completely new approach to basic concepts. For example, everybody knows a wheel has to be round, but can't it be beautiful too? It is on this all-new Plymouth. Now watch these radial ridges. See how they catch those dancing pinpoints of light? They sparkle like a diamond. Yes, a wheel has to be round. And, well, so does a headlight. Or does it? Not in a truly modern design. Here are contour headlights, dramatically recessed, framed in sparkling chrome. Style-setting design. First again with Plymouth, but that's only the beginning. Here's that same sleek, modern look in a completely new taillight design. Notice how the chrome frame enhances the overall beauty. And the mysterious halo of light when the stoplight goes on. Even the backup lights are built right into this newest functional styling. As a matter of fact, you're going to find that everything is designed into this all-new car, not just added on as an afterthought. And that same fresh approach is carried inside. Here's the newest, smartest custom look in instrument panels, with all dials easy to see and all controls in easy reach. And here's something that's newer than tomorrow. The all-new Power Flight Selector is mounted right on the panel, right at your fingertips, for the easiest automatic no-shift driving you've ever experienced. And what about the windshield? The all-new Plymouth has the greatest visibility, the most advanced wraparound windshield of any car you've ever seen. Now, what you've seen so far, of course, is only part of the story, but it all adds up to this fact. These are not just minor changes or variations, but a completely new concept, a fresh approach based upon years of styling development. Now, perhaps the best way to visualize that is to compare it with something with which you're familiar. And now, watch. For here is sheer magic. For now, the completely all-new Plymouth comes to life. It's longer, more than 10 inches longer. It's lower, it's wider, it's bigger. Here for the first time is a truly big luxury car in the lowest price field. Never before has so much beauty, so much styling, so much motor car been offered to so many for so little. Everybody wants a car with clean, sweeping lines, styled with imagination and good taste. This is it, a new idea of advanced styling. For example, that bigger, truly wide-angle windshield is wrapped around at the top as well as at the bottom. As a result, those strong, slenderized pillars are moved way back for unobstructed vision and cleaner styling. And that same beautiful, advanced new styling is carried into a whole new concept of interior color harmony. Everywhere inside this modern beauty, you see the new idea at work. Here are new and luxurious upholstery fabrics in a wide selection of weaves and color harmonies. Smart new vinyl trims, gleaming smartly styled hardware, all adding up to a car whose beauty and quality are more than just surface deep. Notice how complete this color harmony is. Headlining, upholstery, carpeting. Everything is color-keyed to blend perfectly, to give this all-new car a satisfying appearance of stunning beauty. Up front, there's more roomy luxury, more eye-catching distinction, more comfort, more convenience than ever before. Yes, this is the car. This is the styling that makes Plymouth the one car designed for the young in heart. But wait, there's more, much more to our all-new Plymouth beauty story. There's color. And what a choice of color. To begin with, there are many new, exciting exterior colors to choose from. Here are colors available in the Belvedere and Savoy lines. A lustrous new turquoise, sensational Seminole scarlet, exciting Pompano peach, and an inspired new Glade green. And with each of these brilliant new colors is a choice of harmonizing upper body colors. To go with the turquoise, a choice of Bimini blue or raven black. To set off the scarlet, black or Orlando ivory. With Pompano peach, a new cypress brown or contrasting Sarasota sand. And setting off the glade green, Sarasota sand, or a contrasting shade of Largo green. And for the Plaza line, there are still other single and optional two-tone color choices. Cypress brown, Gulf green, Tamiami green, Miami blue, Biscayne blue, and Palm Beach gray. Altogether, a magnificent pageant of striking new single colors and exciting two-tone combinations, available for the first time anywhere. And here in this special display, we see the wide variety of rich-looking interior colors, patterns, and materials. For example, here's new elegance and richness in even the lowest priced models. Here are beautiful, yet extremely durable textured fabrics and matching vinyl bolsters to harmonize with exterior colors available in the Plaza line. And here are new rich gabardine bolsters to offset the various color-keyed nylon-faced fabrics available in the all-new Savoy models. And as a fitting climax, there's a choice of two distinctively different quality fabrics for the Belvedere line. This luxurious new black upholstery fabric with its interwoven metallic lurex thread. Or this distinctive new pattern. Here is a customized look never before found in even the most expensive motor cars. Plus these color-keyed doe-skin vinyl bolsters, designed to harmonize perfectly with the upholstery fabrics and with each of the basic exterior colors, giving these interiors the last word in custom styling. Altogether, the most beautiful, the most exciting pageant of colors. Rich, luxurious, satisfying, inside and out, making each selection virtually a custom car to suit every individual taste. The final touch to the most beautiful styling in the lowest price field. And now for more big news about power and performance that make this all-new luxury car the most exciting news of the year. That story begins with a great new engine. And here it is. Presenting the all-new Plymouth High-Fire V8, the newest, the most modern, the most efficient engine ever offered in the lowest price field. And here to tell us about this great new engine is an engineer who is probably the most glamorous member of the Society of Automotive Engineers, Miss Lucille Peedy.
Thank you, Bill.
Miss Peedy, let's say I'm a Plymouth salesman. Now, what can I tell my customers about this great new V8 engine?
Well, that it's the most powerful, the most compact, and the most efficient engine ever achieved in its field. It's in a class by itself.
What about power?
It develops more horsepower per cubic inch displacement than any engine in its class. And that power is in the normal driving ranges where you really need it and can use it.
And how about speed?
Well, it's been clocked at exceptionally high speeds on the test track, much higher than anyone should drive on the highway. But what is more important is that all that extra usable power has made the all-new Plymouth one of the safest cars to drive because of its tremendous acceleration, its hill climbing ability, and its complete dependability. And best of all, it develops all the power you need with more economy.
But wait a minute. Suppose somebody asks, how can you get more power and more economy at the same time?
Through better overall design. Now, it's never been possible in a low-priced car before. Let me show you why. This new overhead valve design with its rounded combustion chamber burns the fuel better, gets the most power out of every drop of fuel. It makes it possible for us to use a higher compression ratio, 7.5 to 1, without requiring premium fuel.
Well, that's an economy feature everyone wants.
And that's only the first big advantage. Because of its exclusive design, this new engine can use larger valves. And only Plymouth in its class uses these self-adjusting hydraulic valve lifters on all V8 models.
And what are their advantages?
The hydraulic valve lifters provide quiet operation and complete freedom from frequent valve adjustment. And with the bigger valve, the engine breathes better. It can inhale more fuel mixture, which lets us get more power and more efficiency. And more of that power is usable power, simply because it isn't wasted overcoming unnecessary friction. Each piston travels a much shorter distance on each stroke, and doesn't have to travel as fast. So there's much less friction, which again means more usable power. So by combining the most efficient type combustion chamber with larger valves and a low friction design, we have a much more compact and a much more efficient engine, which not only gives us more power with more smoothness, but actually has longer engine life.
Well, then why haven't others used this design?
Well, for one reason, it's much more difficult and expensive to build. And until now, it's been available in only a few higher-priced cars.
And now only Plymouth has it in its field.
Right. And of course, like always, this new engine has so many, many other advantages that you just don't find in other cars anywhere near Plymouth's price.
But what about those customers who prefer a 6?
For them, we have another great high-compression engine. This new PowerFlow 6. And it, again, has more power, more performance, and more durability than ever before. This is the most advanced 6 ever developed by Plymouth engineers. And it's based on all those tried and proven principles that have made so many taxicab operators and fleet owners choose Plymouth as the most economical and reliable of them all.
So now in the all-new Plymouth, the customer has the finest choice of engines.
Plus the choice of 3 great transmissions. PowerFlight, the smoothest of all fully automatic, no-shift transmissions, economical overdrive, or popular synchro-silent transmission. But we haven't begun to cover all the other big engineering extras, like this all-new 3-tooth ball-bearing steering gear design for easier steering on all models, bigger front-wheel brakes on all V8 models, the completely new coaxial full-time power steering unit that's built right into the steering gear and not just added to it like in so many other cars, and the new, improved, longer Oriflow shock absorbers mounted inside the front coil spring.
And don't forget all the many, many other important engineering features that only Plymouth dares to compare.
But you know, just talking about all these wonderful engineering features and improvements doesn't begin to compare with actually seeing them in action.
Well, then what are we waiting for? Fasten your seatbelts. You're going on a flying trip out to the proving grounds to see the all-new Plymouth in action.
Okay, we've been waiting for you. So let's get in and get set for the ride of your life. Just turn the ignition key and listen. You can hardly hear that powerful V8 come to life. And remember, it's teamed up with PowerFlight. What a combination. No more shifting and no clutch. But say, look what they've done to the brake pedal. It's suspended, and look how wide it is. Just touch the accelerator, and that's all there's to it. How's that for a power-packed getaway? Sure, everybody wants power, and this all-new Plymouth has it. And everybody wants more acceleration, especially at passing speeds. Sprinting power to be able to pass safely. And this all-new Plymouth has it. And while top speeds are seldom advisable, except on a test track like this, everybody wants to know that this all-new Plymouth has all the speed and power that anyone could possibly want. But what's more important, it can cruise along effortlessly for endless hours with a smoothness and quietness that is just unbelievable. And with far less strain on the driver. Yes, here is real reserve power with acceleration to spare. But what about safety? Everybody wants quick, sure, safe stopping power. And this all-new Plymouth has that, too. Now we're doing 80. There's the barricade up ahead. Here come the warning signs. Hit those brakes. How's that for stopping power? And it takes even less effort with Plymouth's Power Brakes. Yes, you can stop safely and easily in this all-new beauty. And you can see more. As a matter of fact, this car has more real wide-angle visibility than many higher-priced competitive cars. Just watch this. Here you have true wide-angle vision from here all the way over to here. And you can actually see more of the road ahead, too. But now, compare this true wide-angle view with this restricted area, which is the total amount of visibility being offered in competitive cars. Here's visible proof of the extra safety and extra visibility offered only in the all-new Plymouth. But we're not through yet. Everybody wants better stability and easier steering and that boulevard ride. And this all-new Plymouth has them all. Even on really rough roads, the famous Plymouth ride is better than ever. Here, you can see for yourself. Watch this in slow motion. Notice how the tires hold the road? There's less wheel hopping. That's because of the placement of the new wider leaf rear springs and better overall ride design. And even on a road like this, you get much better control of the front wheels. Yes, everybody wants a better ride, and this all-new Plymouth has it. Those new, longer Oriflow shock absorbers, mounted inside the front coil springs, automatically adjust to every jounce and jolt. Here's a really new sensation in ride control on every kind of road. Yes, this is the car that sets a new standard for comfort and for safety. And talk about roadability. Here's a car that's designed to hold the road better, no matter where you happen to be. Here's a beauty that can really take it. And to make sure that body is tightly sealed against dirt, against noise, and water, it has to be able to take this. Waterproof ignition, rainy day brake safety, hull-tight construction, this all-new car has them all. And talk about easier steering. No, don't just talk about it, try it. Because this all-new Plymouth really has it. The true test of roadability and steering control is on a level surface. So watch this. Even on a tortuous figure-8 test like this, the all-new Plymouth has the easiest, purest, safest manual steering you've ever experienced. The only steering that's easier is when you have full-time coaxial power steering, which takes over practically all the work and effort all the time. Test it. Put one wheel on smooth pavement and one off. No fighting the wheel. And of course, you really appreciate what it can do for you when you slow down and park. And now, for dramatic proof of the last word in control and unmatched safety, we're going to demonstrate a feature that only Plymouth has in its field. Safety rim wheels. And to make that tire blow out, we're using dynamite. Okay? Let's get going. Now, no one ever expects to have a blowout, so you're rolling along without a care in the world when suddenly, there it goes. But notice, in a Plymouth, you stay right on course. And notice the tire. It doesn't fly off. It stays right on the safety rim, so you can bring the car to a sure, safe stop. Yes, everybody wants safety rims, but like so many things, only Plymouth in its field has them. Yes, this is the car that offers more safety, more beauty, more power, more overall performance. And the beauty of that performance is that it's all so effortless. For this is the car that has everything. The car designed for the young in heart. The wonderful, all-new Plymouth.
Well, there you have it. What beauty, what performance, what a car. Oh, Miss Petey, I want to ask just one more favor.
What is it, Bill?
I want you to extend my congratulations to all the wonderful people who made this all-new Plymouth possible. The stylists, the engineers, production men, everyone. And tell them thanks for a wonderful job. Well done.
I certainly will.
And thank you, Miss Lucille Petey. Oh, incidentally, folks, I've been asked this so many times. She really is an engineer. Well, we've seen this all-new Plymouth, and it's beautiful. We've watched it in action, and it's terrific. It steals the show wherever it goes. And now, watch it steal the hearts of all America in showrooms across the nation. Everybody wants a car with clean, sweeping lines, styled with imagination and good taste. And every model in this all-new line has it. For those who prefer a four-door model, nothing in its field can match the luxury of this gracious Belvedere sedan. But this is only one of 16 models and 43 color-keyed single and two-tone color combinations that are available in the all-new Plymouth line. And there's a model to suit every need and every taste. Here is the new four-door sedan in the Plaza line, offering a truly big, beautiful, all-new automobile in the lowest price field. For those who prefer a two-door model, here is the new Plaza Club sedan. It combines the sleek lines of a coupe with the roominess and convenience of a big sedan. And here's the new Plaza Business Coupe, designed for the customer who needs extra large capacity behind the front seat. And now the Plaza Suburban is better than ever. This modestly priced all-round utility car has spacious seating capacity for 6, yet it can be quickly converted into an extra-large cargo carrier. And this is the Savoy four-door sedan, with new beauty, new power, and new luxury. And notice the new look of the new Savoy Club sedan, combining the comfort and roominess of a four-door sedan with the trim, compact lines of a club coupe. And now the last word in glamour, the all-new Belvedere convertible. Isn't it beautiful? And now for big news. A completely new four-door Suburban in the Belvedere line. Here's the double-duty car you've been waiting for. The most beautiful, the most luxurious, the most practical design ever achieved. And here's more big news. This gracious Belvedere Club sedan is another completely new model in the Plymouth line. And here it is, with all the spacious comfort and luxury of a big sedan, yet retaining the flowing lines and convenience of a smartly styled coupe. Here is the newest idea in styling, in comfort and performance. Here is outstanding beauty and value never before achieved in the lowest price field. And now there's more big news. For Plymouth now offers power window lifts as optional equipment for even greater convenience. And for the truly young in heart, here's where America's dream car comes true. For here is the all-new Belvedere Sport Coupe. Its fresh, eager lines have all the dash of a convertible with the snugness and all-weather comfort of a sedan. Well, first stand off a bit so you can really get a good look at all its dramatic smartness. That is of eagerness to go places. Notice the big, massive wraparound bumpers that add so much to that sleek look and add protection, too. And just look at that low and lovely rear deck. No suggestion of the boxy bustle. Here's styling with a purpose. Now you take that luggage compartment. Sure, every car has one, but that's where the comparison ends. This lid literally floats open and stays up. A masterpiece of counterbalancing, thanks to its new torsion bar hinges that don't interfere with luggage space like ordinary deck lid hinges do. Not a single detail has been overlooked, like how easily the deck lid closes and latches securely without the key. Even the push-button door handles are completely new and so much easier to open. And only Plymouth offers a front seat that is divided so that rear passengers can get in or out without disturbing those in front. In back, plenty of leg room and headroom. And notice the customized touch to the interior styling and the beautiful color harmony of the rich doe-skin vinyl that has the feel of leather and even greater pliability. Notice how complete this color harmony is. Everything is color keyed. The instrument panel, the beautiful steering wheel, even the headlining. And when it comes to power, Here's a choice of two great new engines with performance and economy to meet every need. But the real thrill comes when you slip behind the wheel of this wonderful new car. Everything is just as you want it. The easy access to every instrument and control, the center glove compartment, the non-glare top, and the greatest visibility ever offered in Plymouth's full vision, wide-angle wraparound windshield. Unlike other windshields whose pillars obstruct your view like this, these new swept-back windshield posts give you full vision, up and down, as well as a wider angle view. And Plymouth's cowl ventilating and heating system brings in fresh, screened air at a level well above road fumes. And this magnificent all-new car can be as automatic as you want it, with power flight, power brakes, power seats, power windows, and full-time coaxial power steering. The greatest lineup of automatic power features ever engineered into a low-priced car. Yes, feature after feature, item after item, this wonderful all-new Plymouth offers more of what most people want. More beauty, more power, more performance, more convenience, more economy. Check them off and you'll see why only Plymouth dares to compare. That's why wise buyers say, this year of all years, look at all three. Compare. And when you do, you'll choose the all-new Plymouth. Now, more than ever, America's best buy, low-priced car.
You're gonna go, go, go with your beautiful Plymouth. Start going places today. You're gonna love, love, love that all-new Plymouth. The best beauty buy of them all.
Hi, Fred. And in here, it was 1956, and 7, and 8, even 1960. Just at a glance, you'd get the idea that I run a garage. And you're right. A garage that's as big as all indoors. The main thing is that this garage is a huge time machine. We do all sorts of things here. We put some finishing touches on the near future. But the big job is always farther up ahead, at least a year. My name is Robinson. This garage is the center of the proving grounds for automobiles. We test cars and parts of cars that won't be on the public roads for years. The ones that we approve, the ones that are finally produced, are old friends. Every part is something we've bombarded with time and experience. Most of what we do here is secret, guarded. This is an automobile world with a fence around it. We know in advance what happened tomorrow. What happened on our roads is important because it will happen again, times a million or more cars. We've got a big white ring of the world's fastest concrete, set down in 4,000 acres of Michigan hills. And there's a sample here of everything an automobile will ever experience. Turnpikes and hills and bumpy lanes. Only the hills are hillier and the bumps are bumpier. We test cars, all the details, the plans and changes, the fatigue and emotion come out in these unemotional pieces of paper. From the number of my friends, even slight acquaintances, who want me to bring them inside here, and I can't, I get the idea that people are curious about this place. They think what we do must be thrilling and dramatic. And if I ever stop thinking the same thing myself, I'll know that something's wrong with me, or with America. I seldom drive the test cars. Usually I drive this desk. I get my driving thrills secondhand, on paper. It's an orderly routine. It has to be. But once a year, there comes a day.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes?
They're coming through the gate.
Good, thanks. There comes a day, and this is it. For a while, everything changes. Under the canvas on that carrier are new models. They're handmade and priceless. Every single piece of them is something tested for a long, long time. But we've never yet seen them all dressed up, all put together as automobiles. So, work naturally stops. Anybody who thinks that most Americans don't put a lot of heart into the jobs they do is nuts. Take us. We know these are good cars partly because of what we've done, and we're not ashamed to be proud of them. When I see them, I'm as excited as anybody. And I saw them before they even existed. I watch them grow, and they do grow. They grow from pretty pictures, pretty but with an extremely scientific background, into a mountain of working drawings, and into clay models 3/8 the size the cars will be. Then they're carved full-sized in clay. The tools are delicate, and the touch is light, and the clay becomes the first full-sized car in 3D. 3 dimensions, or maybe you'd call it 6 dimensions when you put a mirror down the center and you can model and study a whole sedan from one side and the whole station wagon from the other. When the clays are perfect, we cast them as plastic shells and paint them, and they look real enough to drive. This job goes on in styling and engineering downtown in Detroit. 4,000 people do it. They redo it, improve it, redo it again. When you're just watching, a spectator, and that's what I am down there, some things seem to happen fast, to go together just right, once and for all. But that's an illusion. The same parts have probably been put together 200 times. Because once something is really right, a taillight, for instance, it'll be done just that way in metal a couple of million times. Same thing with whole cars. Sometimes I think these people have as much fun as we do. If you can forget a couple of years of engineering and a couple of miles of logarithms and a few tons of those intricate drawings and blueprints and all that clay, by the last few minutes when a plastic car is assembled, it's kind of like putting together some beautiful big tinker toys. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we do get sort of a preview of the metal bodies, roughly speaking. Beauty isn't considered very important when what you want to test is the roof strength of a new 4-door hardtop or the grip of new door latches. Then this day comes, old cars, and we're as tickled as if we'd never seen a bit of them. Part by part, we know every inch of them. What we did here made changes and improvements in every one, but now it's kind of hard to take our eyes off them. We knew them in overalls or maybe in rompers. Now they're all dressed up, almost ready to graduate. All that's left for us to do is to give them their final exams. When that's done, and we say, okay, production will start. They're our babies, but spare the test and spoil the car. Now we'll really pick on them. And with the new ones, we never ask for volunteers. Maybe we draw straws instead. Everybody wants into the act. This is when our time machine really goes to work. We'll make 1 week equal to an ordinary year, maybe an extraordinary year. We're hard on cars, but in a methodical and scientific way. Carburetor versus carburetor versus carburetor. One kind of suspension versus 2 dozen others. Everything we get to test is good. Only some things are better. We find out which ones are best. If something's ever going to fail, it will fail here. If it's going to be a big part of tomorrow's cars, it has to look good here. Very good indeed. On the speed oval, time travels faster. Mileage grows faster. Stretch a day and a night of this out in a straight line, and you'd have breakfast in San Francisco. We still have breakfast in Chelsea, Michigan. New trucks get it too. The big one in back is loaded with a lot of gauges and meters called a dynamometer, an unusual dynamometer on wheels. If you want an exact measurement of horsepower in action, tow this monster behind your car. It'll give you the answer right to a whisker. We have our ups and downs, some rough and bumpy, and some as accurately measured as time by the stars. The grades are built for a number of tests, for acceleration and fuel consumption under different loads. Or you can test the independent handbrake, in case you ever do get to San Francisco. There's nothing like an afternoon of frolic in the sandbox. Hasn't got a bottom, just a lot of soft sand. When the back wheels jump and grab their way through this stuff, everything that connects them with the engine takes a terrific strain. But strains are useless unless you know exactly what to watch for. Take Rudy. He's a brake expert. He knows exactly what to watch for when it comes to stopping a car. Read the dials, pedal pressure, deceleration. Now do it about 20 more times and keep reading. Or if you like the outdoor life and you have an exceptionally good tummy, this is pleasant work. Incidentally, you're measuring the load on the power steering unit, so naturally you keep taking readings from those pointers on the special wheel. Or maybe you like to get away by yourself, away from everybody, and study motor sounds and air noises in a taped-up car like this. Then there's the bicycle built for one car. It's an absolutely accurate mileage gauge. Just so far, just so fast, just so much gasoline consumed.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes?
They're coming through the gate.
Who?
2 men from the advertising agency. They have a photographer with them and models.
Send the agency men into the conference room. I'll be right there.
Well, for a few weeks, advertising men are going to be my buddies. This is a once-a-year event, this open season for picture taking. It's one of the consequences of having the only existing new models way ahead of time and a high fence. But it's important. I know from experience exactly how this goes. I even know what they're apt to say first, something like, now this year, Mr. Robinson, we're not going to be any trouble.
Now this year, Mr. Robinson, we're not going to be any trouble to you.
We just want to make a few.
We just want to make a few shots in some out-of-the-way corner that won't interfere with your work at all. Here are some samples to give you an idea of what we want to do. We thought we might do this at the end of one of the straightaways. If we could have a place for our girls to dress, we'll get right to work.
And they will, too. I've always been glad that my work is engineering. But you know, it's wonderful that in one world, the word work can mean such different things. I think I mentioned that ours is usually calm and scientific. So, naturally, some variety like this is welcome. I've got a rule that our people are not to disturb the picture makers while they're working, and naturally, I have to go down once in a while to see that the rule isn't broken.
Now, Temso, what we would like to get in this shot is the flared styling of the rear end of the car. At the same time, show how the slanting lines carry out the fleet going forward look.
The mink. Where is the mink?
The mink?
You must have the mink right here. You see, the drape of the mink, hands, gloves.
But Temso, in this shot, I thought we would just have the car.
Aha! Yeah, over here. Come, look, yeah. Hands, yeah, now the glove on the mink. Perfect, perfect. Yeah. Now here, look. You see, notice how the line of the girl follows the line of the car. Magnificent composition.
You may be right, Temso.
All right. Right. Now what?
And now we would like a shot of a girl in the back seat.
For that, I would like a little dog, yeah?
No little dog. Minks, yes. Little dogs, no.
Me? I just make pictures. You are, how you say, expert in sales psychology, no? But see, we put a beautiful girl on a beautiful scene. Everything is beautiful, that is fine. The colors, exquisite. But now, we put a little dog on the seat beside her. What does this say? It says that the little dog can scratch with his little paws on the seat. Wah, wah, wah. It does not matter at all, because the fabric is as strong as it is beautiful.
You may be right, Temso, but we have no little dog.
No little dog, eh? No little dog. You. As for a big dog, just a little dog. All right, we make it.
I don't know. Maybe the way we do our work seems screwy to these people, too. I can't help admiring the results they get.
Mr. Robinson. Calling Mr. Robinson. They're coming through the gate, Mr. Robinson.
Yep, they really are. You know, I get a laugh out of that station wagon every time I see it. Always loaded to the gate. That means movies. I used to think all you needed for making movies was a camera. You need odds and ends. So, off to the good old conference room.
Hi there, Robbie. Good to see you again, chum. I hope you're not still sore about that new car we wrecked last year. As they say, accidents will happen. This year, it's going to be easy, because we're only planning to do a few performance stories. Now, we'll start on a high-speed track.
Yes, they'll start on the high-speed track whenever we let them. The west curve in the morning when the sun is just right, and the east curve in the afternoon. Our own work may sometimes depend upon road conditions or the season, but the movie people, theirs depends upon sunlight. And moods, I guess. At lunch hour, we get sort of a recreation program, free of charge, and the opportunity to admire how long it takes movie people to do something. The director shouts orders through a power megaphone. Even the people are right beside him. They do this at 100 or more miles per hour. They have to. Otherwise, they couldn't coax the cars into the upper lane on the turns, and they're unhappy if they're not in that upper lane. They travel close together, too close. That's so they can use a wide-angle lens and keep the picture centered. The way they do things is unusual. Matter of fact, sometimes it scares me. But when I see the pictures they make, well, they're good. They know their business. They catch the kind of beauty that never kept standing still. We make some movies of tests like this. We'll mount a camera over an engine and get a picture of the way water hits it. In slow motion, regular speed, and everything. We study the pictures, and they're a big help, and nobody ever gets wet. But the movie people, I'll put it this way, they're less scientific. They want angles, and I guess they want to get wet. Director's favorite shot is a car jumping off a hill. We've done it occasionally as a test. The cars can take it perfectly well, but on this piece of rough stone-covered road, they could skid or swerve. So on their behalf, we keep our fingers crossed. Now comes the big visit. We're hosts to a lot of people before new car time, but the day that beats them all hollow is the press preview. Must be 500 or 600 people. New cars are news. We're glad of that. And the automotive editors and reporters and television and radio people get a real show with real show people. And so much decoration you can hardly find a garage. And photographers and... well, how did he get in? There are newsreel cameramen and still cameramen, and we all go around smiling, getting our pictures taken. And then everybody goes for a ride. Or anyway, they take turns riding and driving. The idea is a demonstration, of course, and not a thrill ride. Once in a while, somebody can't resist checking on an interesting thing most of them have heard about this track of ours. You can take the curves, no hands. Actually, it's safe. The bank is so accurate, they'll do all the steering. But again, there are those members of the press who feel, quite reasonably, that this is not the sensible way to enjoy a ride in the country. And I'm with them. Then, all of a sudden, the place is all ours again for almost another year. The new cars have been launched. and the time machine starts spinning. At a glance, that's a 1956 Fender. But a glance is no longer reliable, because for us, the distant future is always right now. And every day and every year, underneath the familiar bodies and behind the familiar grills, new things are always running. Things that look good on paper and in the laboratory. How good they actually are, that's ours to find out. When it's absolutely necessary, we can make that year that's only a week long. It's not easy. You can't stop for weather or for sunset or for sunrise. You can rest the drivers, but never the cars. You keep moving, and the time moves with you. The recipe for speeding time up calls for more than a pinch of bumps, because a car's life is not just a bowl of concrete. To be really sure that anything about a car is good, you drive it farther, harder, faster than it will ever be driven in ordinary use. The good ideas from the drawing board may have to go back to the drawing board, or maybe to the scrap pile. And the things that stay are the ones that keep on looking good, mile after endless mile. Some fast and rough, some tedious and long, measured with scholarly accuracy. Dramatic? The word okay is a very dramatic word when you put it on What Happened Tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw it happen. But before I start to tell you what I saw that day, I suppose I should tell you who I am, what dealership I sell for, how many Chrysler deliveries I average a year, and so on. But, well, none of that really matters. I've been selling Chryslers long enough to know what it's all about. I'm no hero. In 1954, I thought seriously of handling some other make. You know, a couple of times since that day, I've thought what a big mistake it would have been to quit Chrysler. Of course, I've always known that we had a good car. Ride, driving ease, performance, engineered right, too. But riding comfort has always been our strong suit. I can't speak for everybody, but my point is that nobody who ever bought a Chrysler from me ever had any serious complaints about the car. But in the last few weeks, well, since that day at the proving grounds, I've had a chance to analyze my attitude toward Chrysler and some of our competitors. And I've figured out why almost all the good deals I've closed in the last few years have been with people who already own Chryslers. Maybe you already know why. I didn't have the confidence it takes to stand up and sell Chrysler to a man who owned a Buick or an Olds or a Cadillac. Now, wait, now don't get me wrong. I didn't just quit on a competitive prospect, but you know how it is. I'd get backed into a corner, start talking price. Sure, I knew Chrysler was a good car, but was I going to demonstrate a Chrysler to say, well, Cadillac owner, what would I prove? That Cadillac is a bad car? Now, you may say that was just common sense, facing the facts. Somebody else might call it an inferiority complex. Today, I'd say I was blind. Now, remember, I'm talking about sales I lost because I didn't stand up and sell hard to a competitive owner. There were other sales I never had a chance to make because I didn't exactly chase after people who owned Buicks and Oldsmobiles and Caddies. Dan. Yeah, and I remember a number of commissions that could have been doubled if I'd sold the Chrysler instead of the deal. I suppose you wonder how I got so smart all of a sudden. Well, it seemed that Chrysler thought there were a few other salesmen like me. Fellows who know we have a good car, but think that if you compare any two cars in the same price class, you end up without much real difference that you can sell. So, Chrysler decided to find out just where their product does rank with competition. Is it really a good car? Is it a better car than the others? How much better? And in what respect? Questions like those. So they decided to have an independent outfit make the tests, using the facilities of the Chrysler Corporation Proving Grounds. And they decided to photograph the tests so they could put them in the movie. I saw them do everything possible to get a true picture of the differences among the New Yorker, the Windsor, the Cadillac 62, Buick Super, and the Olds 98. They even picked up the Chrysler cars from dealers so there'd be no question about standard equipment. Professional test drivers were used, and they switched back and forth among makes for fair testing. Several models of each make were tested, so there'd be no chance of getting a lemon. Each car was broken in and then tuned to specifications established by its own factory. I saw all this, and now maybe you're going to see some pictures that you'll find hard to believe. But they're the results of tests you could make in your own hometown. They prove points you could demonstrate to any prospect. Now, one of the first things they did was make a side-by-side styling study. Sure, styling's a matter of opinion. But it's a fact that Chrysler's forward look made a lot of sales for me last year. And the new power-style Chrysler is a couple of long steps ahead of anything else on the market. That's one thing about which I didn't have an inferiority complex. Chrysler didn't just stand pat with the forward look of 1955. You know, those new grills, those high-flight sweep rear fenders, changed the whole profile. A whole new rear-end look with those terrific new taillights. Any way you look at these two cars, Chrysler made the most changes and in the right direction. Cadillac, well, it's not a homely car, but they've been facelifting it since 1954. It still has the old, massive style, rather than the long, low, fast style that we have the look of. Well, the look of a forward motion, like the ads say. And now that I've judged it alongside the heavy-looking Cadillac, I'm willing to tell my prospect about that look of forward motion. You know, there's something else I'm going to tell you about. And I'm going to tell them, too. And it's an advantage I've sort of taken for granted. But now that I've sat in and driven those other cars, I'm going to make a point of our bigger interiors. We have different advantages over our different competitors, and we can look them up for an individual prospect. But in general, we have wider seats, we have more headroom, more legroom. We have the room it takes to let a man sit in the position that suits him best. And there are ways to make even little advantages come alive for a prospect. If we have 3/4 of an inch more room between the wheel and the seat than his car has, ask him to sit behind the wheel. Slip a pack of cigarettes between his thigh and the wheel so he can feel the difference that fraction of an inch makes in his freedom of movement. Well, you probably have some better ideas for things like, well, like lowering a Chrysler's headroom to match the competitive car the prospect's been looking at. Or if it's legroom, well, maybe we put something under his feet so he can see how his knees would be jackknifed in a car with lower seats. Well, as I mentioned before, nobody had to prove to me that Chrysler had the style and the roominess. But take something like the new Chrysler brakes. Now, anybody who's been through a few new car announcements knows that sometimes a new feature, well, it's only good for advertising copy. May not really pay off on the road. Is the new Power Smooth brake in that category? I wondered about that myself. And believe me, I found out. They tested a Chrysler and a Cadillac for stopping distance. The drivers made a panic stop test from 60 miles an hour, applying every ounce of braking power that was in the cars. Everything they claimed for Power Smooth brakes came true, as the Chrysler came to a straight line, tire-screaming halt, one full car length short of the Cadillac's mark. The engineer said the results of the brake test were due to two new Chrysler features. Chrysler has more square inches of brake lining than any of its competitors. And you know it's brake lining that stops a car. But even more important, the exclusive new center plane design puts every square inch of lining against the drum when you step on the pedal. The brakes on those other cars ordinarily only make partial contact. That's why it takes a Chrysler to give you the kind of even, fast, straight-line stops you must have to control a car in an emergency. Stopping distance tests with the Windsor against the Buick Super and the Olds 98, well, they showed roughly the same results. The way I like to put it, everybody has increased go power this year, but only Chrysler has increased stop power as well. Now, well, I don't know how many cars I'm going to sell this year on the basis of a New Yorker stopping faster than the Cadillac. But I do know people are interested in safety this year. And I can talk about the most important safety advantage, better brakes. The next tests compared performance. And here's where my eyes were opened. Now, you and I know that under this hood is a very fine power plant. It's an engine with true hemispherical combustion chambers, just like in fine airplane engines. But we also know that Cadillac has an edge on us in advertised horsepower and in the torque rating. So, again, I was inclined to say that Chrysler has good performance. But I doubted that it performed better than a Cadillac. Well, gentlemen, if necessary, you can tell a Cadillac owner that you saw a well-tuned 56 New Yorker perform against an equally well-tuned 56 Cadillac 62. You can tell him the Cadillac driver put his foot in the carburetor, and suddenly he could see nothing but New Yorker taillights. Beautiful taillights they are, but they'll hurt the caddy's pride this year. You can rest assured that if you demonstrate New Yorker acceleration to the owner of a Cadillac or any other car, you'll show him something new in performance. It's as simple as that. Actually, well, there is one performance test we'll give to the Cadillac. It gets a little jump from a standing start, and we'll have a slight lead up to about 20 miles an hour. So in a 0 to 20 test, we'll say in the distance from your garage at home to the street, Cadillac would have the edge. But the standing start test is all over for Cadillac at about 20 mile an hour mark. That's when our New Yorker started pulling away that day at the proving grounds, with Chrysler's tremendous reserve power giving it a commanding lead. I saw it happen. But those test drivers weren't through. As one of them said, and I think it's a pretty good point to make with prospects, let's have a lead up 20 miles an hour. Chrysler has a big advantage at a much more crucial speed, one that counts for safety at cruising speeds. It was a highway passing test, with both cars going 35 miles an hour. Neck and neck, the signal was given to jam those gas pedals to the floor simultaneously. The car with a forward look leaped ahead as though the Cadillac was standing still. Now, this kind of test proves that the Chrysler spends less time on the wrong side of the road. Prospects in many parts of the country will want the car that, well, it shows best in a hill climbing test. And people everywhere are interested in the reserve engine power brought out in a test like this. The New Yorker and the Cadillac started up a long 7% grade together. But the Chrysler's performance proved too much for the Cadillac before they finished this heavy-duty test. The next test for hill climbing ability, so the cars head for a 15% grade at 35 miles an hour. Suddenly, both drivers stepped on the gas simultaneously. But it was the Chrysler that jumped to the top first. You got a really steep hill in your area? One of the proving grounds is a 32% grade. Pick your steepest hill. Start a New Yorker and a Cadillac toward it at 35 miles an hour. Let both drivers gun it. And even on a hill as short as the one at the proving grounds, the Chrysler can be at the top before the Cadillac. I know it's true. I saw it happen. Oh, and incidentally, the test people didn't spend all their time with the New Yorker and the Cadillac. They concentrated on the Caddy simply because they wanted to tackle the best the competition had to offer. They did make acceleration and hill climbing tests with the Windsor running against a Buick Super and an Olds 98. The Windsor didn't have quite the edge in all kinds of driving that the New Yorker had, but I did learn this much. We need no longer think of the Windsor as a low-powered stepchild. It'll keep up with anything that's price class. We can sell it on its performance, as well as on its style and comfort. Of course, we know that Chryslers are comfortable, but maybe we haven't been too sure we're selling more comfortable cars than those GM dealers. The test drivers wanted to find out, too. So they sent the cars over a hunchbacked railroad crossing at 30 miles an hour. In this important test for both comfort and safe driving control, the Windsor clung to the pavement like a snake crossing a molehill. Olds and Buick seemed to want to hop over the tracks. Well, it might look pretty exciting, but I'm glad I wasn't the guy trying to stick in the driver's seat. The New Yorker and the Cadillac were driven over this same back-breaking test. And the Caddy didn't come any closer to passing the test than his little brothers did. But where they just wanted to jump over the tracks, the Cadillac wanted to dig in on the other side. I saw its front bumper actually hit the ground once. Do you suppose it was the New Yorker's Oriflow shock absorbers that kept it on a comparatively even keel over the tracks? I expect so. Anyway, the Cadillac test driver said the Caddy shocks apparently don't react fast enough to snug the car down to the road. It was quite a ride for him. And I might add, quite a lesson in safe driving control. It's one of the differences between Chrysler and the car the Cadillac people advertise as the standard of the world. I plan to tell prospects that I saw exactly how far the Caddy has fallen behind the standards of Chrysler. Now, the next chassis-shaking test for the New Yorker and the Cadillac took us over a dipping, curving stretch of asphalt, like some roads might be just outside your town. They let me ride in the cars this time since there wasn't any real danger involved. Just a chance of losing my lunch, that's all. 60 miles an hour in the New Yorker was not uncomfortable on this roller coaster road. That's a fact. Sure, I knew we weren't on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, but the body of the car stayed reasonably level, and I knew my wife or yours could have controlled the Chrysler at the same speed over the same humps and dips. I wouldn't want my wife to send the Cadillac over the same road at 60. For that matter, I wouldn't want to adjust myself to the way part-time power steering cuts in and out under those conditions. The side-to-side roll, the front-to-rear pitching in the Cadillac was bad enough from the passenger seat. Now, if you're like me, you wonder why. Why does a car which has sounded the trumpets of brag and boast as long as Cadillac come in second best in a comfort test? For that matter, why is it second in a hill climb, second in passing performances, second in a brake test? Sure, it has a smooth boulevard ride. Sure, it'll zoom past a truck on the highway. And of course, it'll stop safely under normal conditions. But a man who plans to spend $4,000 or $5,000 on an automobile should get the best. For that matter, getting down to my price bracket. A man who has $3,500 to spend on a car should get the finest automobile he can for his money. Of course, I expect we're asking too much. The man who buys a Buick instead of a Windsor, or a Cadillac instead of a New Yorker, thinks he's getting the best his money will buy. He doesn't take second best on purpose. Guess that leaves it up to us. There they are, those people who bought Pontiacs and Mercurys and Buicks and Oldsmobiles and Cadillacs last time. There's plenty of them. The question is, how can we put more of them into Chryslers in 1956? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen in my town. I'm going out after those owners. That's right, the regular prospecting routine. Only now I have something red hot and new to say. Same thing for the competitive owner who drops in the showroom just to look at a Chrysler. He's not only going to look, I'm going to sell. Because now I know the car can back up everything I say about it. And if he tells me he wants a fat allowance before he'll trade in the zip of his Olds or the comfort of his Cadillac, I'm just going to take him out in the demonstrator and show him more stop, more go, more ride, more control, more style, more car than he ever had before. I can do that. I saw it happen.